don't fuel the negativity. Just don't even pay it any mind. Don't make it worse. Don't fuel the fire.
We blame other people for where we are when ultimately it comes down to Aaron is where Aaron is because of Aaron. The victim mentality is ginormous in America.
They suck your energy, especially your positive energy. So you've got to reject those energy vampires.
What is your personal vision? What do you want from your future? What is it that you have? My priorities are faith, family, and future. What is my vision? Like, my personal vision is to add value to everyone I come across.
If it's a good day, then it's Aaron's fault. If it's a bad day, it's Caitlin's fault.
We take that for granted here in America. You get to choose how you're going to act in that moment or react in that moment.
Agree. It definitely all goes back to your energy, your attitude and your actions. They both come from within.
And I think that's why it's so important, because if you choose, like in these 10 rules that we're about to go over, we get to control our attitude and our actions. We get to choose that, Caitlin.
This is the Clark Connection Podcast, where 12 years of coaching championships meets real-world leadership. Coach Clark broke through at the highest levels. Now he's bringing you the playbook. Every week, real leaders, real wins. Real strategies you can use Monday morning. If you're done with theory and ready for results, this is your show. You in? Let's go!
Most people don't have a skill problem. They have an energy problem. And today we're talking about a book that forces you to confront that. I'm Aaron Clark, aka The Coach, and this is the Clark Connection Podcast.
And I'm your co-host, Caitlin Michelet. Before we get started, we want to take a moment to thank our sponsors who make this show possible.
The Clark Connection Podcast is powered by Coach Clark Leadership and Development. We help organizations develop leaders who multiply leaders through live training, executive coaching, and cultural strategy. And if you want to grow alongside other serious leaders, join our Leadership Multiplier School community. It is a space built for intentional leadership growth, connection, and accountability. Learn more at CoachAClark.com. This episode of the Clark Connection Podcast is proudly brought to you by Hubbard Flooring Studio. Leadership, growth, and success all start with a strong foundation, but the details matter too. Vicky and her team don't just specialize in high-quality flooring. They also offer Hunter Douglas blinds, bringing both function and design together in one place. Whether you're building, renovating, or upgrading a home or business, Hubbard Flooring Studio helps you create a space that reflects quality, intention, and excellence, from the floors you stand on to the light you let in. Now, if you're ready to work with people who care about craftsmanship and getting it right, visit hubbardflooringstudio.com or call 225-924-1582. Hubbard Flooring Studio, covering you from the ground up. Shout out to Steadfast Electric for supporting the show. When your power needs to be reliable, not just good enough, Brian and his team deliver safe, dependable electric work for homes and businesses. No shortcuts, no guesswork. Learn more at steadfastelectric.com or call 225-457-7957. Steadfast Electric, reliable power done right the first time. I want to recognize Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC for sponsoring the podcast. Bobby specializes in craniosacral therapy, a highly specialized form of bodywork, and she's one of only 2 therapists in the Baton Rouge area offering it. This work helps the body release deep tension, regulate the nervous system, and truly reset. To learn more or book a session, visit massagebook.com/acomfyquest or call 225-773-0307. A Comfy Quest. Specialized craniosacral therapy for a real nervous system reset. A big thanks to Automate Integrate Professional Services for backing the show. Andrew helps businesses simplify, automate, and integrate their systems so leaders stop wasting time on manual work and start focusing on growth. Visit automate-integrate.com or email Andrew at automate-integrate.com. Automate Integrate, systems that work so you don't have to overwork. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Bob Smith, chiropractic internist, for sponsoring today's episode. Dr. Bob focuses on identifying the root cause of pain and dysfunction, not just covering up symptoms. If your body isn't performing the way it should, this is the kind of care that looks deeper. Learn more at brspine.com or call 225-291-2626. Dr. Bob Smith, finding the root cause, not just chasing symptoms. Today, Caitlin and I break down The Energy Bus by John Gordon.
This book isn't just about positivity. It's about responsibility, how you think, how you show up, and how you lead.
This episode isn't a summary or a book report. We're going to talk about how the 10 rules from this book actually show up in real leadership, real work, and in real life.
So as you're listening, don't try to catch every detail. Just take a second and ask yourself, what kind of energy am I bringing into the rooms that I walk into? Because whether you realize it or not, it's impacting everything.
Yes, and if you've ever felt stuck, drained, or frustrated as a leader, this conversation is for you. Let's get into it.
All right, Aaron. So let's go ahead and start talking about the energy bus. Why don't we go ahead and kick it off with, can you tell us a little bit about the book and the plot of the story?
Yeah, absolutely. So it starts off, the main character is a guy named George, and George is having a bad day. He's got a flat tire. He walks outside, tire's flat, has to take the bus. I mean, who wants to take the bus?
Right.
So he then meets, which at the time was his arch nemesis, the bus driver named Joy. You know, oddly enough, he gets on the energy bus, and George is just having a rough time, throughout the beginning stages, that because he's got all these bad things happening to him. But we find out throughout the story that George is trying to save his job. So that's why he doesn't want to take the bus. He's got to get to work on time. But then too, we find out that George's marriage is struggling, that he's struggling in his relationship with his children. So, I mean, there's all sorts of just things going wrong. So let's throw in having a flat tire while trying to save your job. Ultimately, it turns out the brakes in his vehicle went out. And so had they not had that flat tire, George could have, not been with us anymore had that happened. And it goes through and really just talks about, how do we take and reframe all of the whatever's happening to us to remain positive and look towards what are the good things that we have going on in life. And, George ends up, saving the day. It's always a happy ending. We all love a happy ending. Yeah. But for some of us, it's not always that happy of an ending, but it can be if you choose to jump on the energy bus and have that positive mindset, mind frame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's very relatable in the beginning of the story when George is just kind of one thing after the other. I think a lot of people will relate to just one of those days, one of those weeks, one of those months where it's like, can anything else go wrong?
It's just one of those days. We should make a song out of that. What do you think?
Well, the Friends theme song was playing in my head, so I think it's already been done.
Oh, no, I'm thinking like they had new metal. Oh, no, Fred Durst made it way more popular.
Okay.
But we could make it more popular.
We could. But yeah, I think everybody relates to that. So, so then learning about the energy bus and what that means. Why did you choose this book for us to read?
Yeah, so a kind of interesting pick. I knew coming into, towards the end of 2025, beginning of 2026, a lot of people that I know were just struggling through 2025 and still on the struggle bus in 2026. And myself included, I'm not exact, life isn't all sunshine and rainbows over here with the Coach Clark Leadership and Development team. But you can choose to be positive, or you can choose to look at the bad that's going on. And I think that's what's so important. Is it's so important for people to know that even though you've got all of this junk happening, and put in whatever this is, you've got this happening, and it could be a multitude of things, but you get to choose how do you want to approach this in your life, this event, this situation, whatever it is, you get to choose that. And I think that's why it's so important, because if you choose, like in these 10 rules that we're about to go over, we get to control our attitude and our actions. We get to choose that, Caitlin. And I think that's so important that people know that whatever situation you're in, you get to choose how you're going to act in that moment or react in that moment. So it's very important, I think, that people know this going in.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely all goes back to your energy, your attitude and your actions. They both come from within. That's why, it's one of the few things that we can control. It's nothing, external. But you have to be intentional about your energy. And, you can say that all day long, but how do you do that? How do you have positive energy and a positive outlook when it feels like everything is going wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this book is about.
Yeah. And ultimately it boils down to it's up to you as the leader to control and set the energy for your organization. You have to be the one that sets that. Now, because I know one that I'll talk about a little bit later as we go through, that you sometimes will have to borrow energy from the people around you. And there's just so many other great things, but you ultimately, as the leader, are the one that sets this pace and sets this tone for the organization.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Awesome. So then that leads us right into our rules. So the way that the book is broken down is into 10 rules. It's the 10 rules of the energy bus, and Joy gives these rules to George. So we're going to go through the first 3 right now. So the first 3 rules are: rule number 1, you're the driver of your own bus. So you, very, very important to remember there. That's all about your own personal responsibility in where you're at in your life. And rule number 2 is to fuel your bus with positive vision and energy. That's what's going to keep your bus going, is that positive energy. And number 3 is to actually invite people onto your bus who energize you and bring in that positive energy. So like you said earlier, sometimes you got to borrow from other people, but you got to have people around you that have that positive energy to borrow from. So yeah, really great first 3 rules there to kick us off.
Oh, I agree. And I think that first one is most important for whatever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever. You're in control.
Yep.
It's you.
Yep. No one to blame. No one to complain about except yourself. Yeah. And I think that's where leaders struggle sometimes, is avoiding that ownership. And leaders have, a lot of different variables and factors and people around them that, you know, may be out of their control or, you know, aren't necessarily following in the direction that you're trying to go. But all you can do is what you can do, you know, just taking accountability and taking ownership and control over what you can.
Oh yeah. And I think that's where, you know, the culture that we live in today, it really is what that it's a, hey, if you don't like what it is, it's not your fault. It's somebody else's fault. Let's blame your mom and them. You know, we're blaming everybody. And as I love it that Dr. Bob always tells me, so guys, if you aren't using Dr. Bob, like seriously, you need to use him. I know he's one of the sponsors of the show, but he always says, be nice to your mom and them because they're the ones that pass on your genes. So, I think too often it's, you know, a victim mentality in,
yeah.
And I would say not just, but, you know, as I've joined another speaking group that's put me in touch with a lot of different people around the world, you know, have made friends. You know, Jay George was another one that was on the show and we're talking about that. He's like, dude, it's the victim virus. Like the victim mentality is ginormous in America. Because I was going to say it's around the world, but it's really not necessarily around the world. It's really here. And it's because we're so rich, like as a nation as a whole, we are wealthy. We are rich. If you go to bed with a roof over your head, I want you to realize you are in the top 33% of the world. Wow. You got a bed. Top 33% of the world. If you ate food today, you are in the top 33% of the world. And we too often, we take that for granted here in America, because I'm going to say this is an American issue, than not everywhere else. I do think you see that or other places, but definitely here in America, we don't take responsibility for where we are in our lives. And I think that's you know, that's one of the things that it talks about, you know, in there with being the driver, you know, fueling it with positive energy and then getting people on board with you. I think that's a huge thing here in America is we allow other people, or we blame other people. We don't allow we blame other people for where we are, when ultimately it comes down to Aaron is where Aaron is because of Aaron. And guess what, Caitlin?
Yeah. Caitlin's where Caitlin is because of
No,
Caitlin?
It's because of Aaron. It's Aaron's fault. Hold on. No, I mean, Aaron is where he is, but it's Caitlin's fault. I'm not.
Yeah. If it's a good day, then it's Aaron's fault. If it's a bad day, it's Caitlin's fault.
Now we're catching on.
Right, exactly.
They vote Aaron Clark 2028. I think that's the next election cycle.
Well,
if you're listening and thinking, my team needs this, that's exactly why Coach Clark Leadership and Development exists. We partner with businesses, churches, and organizations that want practical leadership training, not theory, but tools leaders can use immediately. If you're responsible for developing people, let's talk soon. Visit CoachAClark.com.
Who knows? But I think that is really important with leadership too, specifically, is because you set, like we've been saying, you set the tone as the leader, but you also set the example as the leader. So if I, as the leader, am just blaming and, you know, criticizing and complaining and a victim constantly, rather than what could I do to be better? What could we do as a team to get better? The team is going to take that example and run with it. So if you don't want a team that blames other factors and other people for, you know, their mistakes or their shortcomings, or they're maybe afraid to make mistakes or afraid to own up to their mistakes, things like that, you know, you can't build a team of positive energy and trust and respect by the blame game.
So why would you want your team making mistakes?
Everybody makes mistakes, Aaron.
Not me.
Yeah. Well, that no, I mean, I don't want them either, but it's a part of life. But one thing that we had talked about bringing up again and kind of discussing again, because we had some questions after my episode with you for the interview about, you had said that you thought that you were going to have to fire me at one point.
I never said
told that story. You did. It's
no,
yep.
I've definitely said that.
Live and yeah. And you know, I don't blame you. So kind of coming from my perspective on that story, you know, my point of view is like I said, we did actually have some questions. Some of the viewers and the audience were like, I don't get it. Why did he think he was going to have to fire you? Really, it was because of my attitude, you know? It was because of my energy. I wasn't performing very well either, but it was because of my attitude and my energy. It wasn't that I couldn't do the job. And it was really specifically tied to literally the people that were closest to me with the physical proximity, like the reps that really, there was one rep that was like right across the hall from me, and he was not a bad rep, not a bad salesperson, but just very, very, very negative. And I didn't even think about it from that perspective whenever because I approached you and asked to move offices. And it wasn't necessarily for my performance. And I didn't even necessarily know that this person was affecting me and my energy as much as he was. But, you know, especially 6 years ago, like, I'm young. I want to change a pace. I want to change the scenery. You know, let's mix it up a little bit, make it fun. That was literally like my thought process. I'm like, I haven't been in this office yet. Let's try this one. And things immediately changed when I was kind of closer to the front door and where all the action was happening, and out of that negative energy bubble, I started performing. And
well, I was going to say the other thing too, that part of my thought in that was because you moved right across from me.
Yeah, and I was across from you and one of the owners.
And so I was able to see, to me, it was more of all right, let me see what she's doing. So this will give me a closer eye. It'll give me more fuel for if she is, but then maybe some of my other thought process was that maybe I'll rub off on her.
Yeah, 100%. And I also knew, like, you were across the hall from me, but like I said, one of the owners was as well. And I kind of knew that someone else was going to have eyes on me all the time. So it made me hold myself to a higher standard. Yeah, so it was really great. And that's something that I have implemented and kept in mind with my team over the last few years. Whenever they get started, I'll tell the reps, like, this is your office, and you know, this is your little home away from home, but don't get too comfortable because we like to mix it up. We like to switch it up. And that's just how we do it, you know, because it made such a difference for me. And I've seen it make a difference for some of my other reps as well. If someone is struggling or, you know, not producing like we really think that they could, you know, put someone across the hall from them that is like killing it, especially if that person is like super competitive. You know, maybe they can learn something from the other person. Maybe they can have that little friendly competition. Maybe they can, you know, borrow some of their energy. But you have to be intentional about that energy and your your proximity.
And they've actually done studies about that with if you're around somebody who's a top performer, like you're, I don't remember, I think it was like 20%, you'll see yourself a 20% increase versus if you move somebody around a not top performer who's negative, that your performance will drop. And it was something like 50%. Like it was crazy the amount of that just being around somebody who was negative, how much more it brings you down versus being positive. And I think that's where that rule number 1 through 3, the ownership, vision, and people is so important, because if you don't have a vision, that you're going to fail. And so it's not enough to just be optimistic. Like, yeah, I'm a happy going person. But if there is no vision, you're going to struggle. You're going to fail. And so like as we were going through all of these things, like I'd put down, what is my personal vision, because it's that important. And as you're listening to this, if you're at a spot where you can stop and think, what is your personal vision? What do you want from your future? What is it that you have? It could be, and there's all sorts of, and as I wrote down on here, that go into your vision. It could be something spiritual. It could be your family. It could be your income, lifestyle, health, and community. And so putting all of that together to try to get somewhere, I tell everybody my priorities are faith, family, and future, but what is my vision? And so writing it down, my personal vision is to add value to everyone I come across. I want to share the love of Christ with everyone. I want to help people become great leaders. I want to create a global company that is known for creating and developing leaders. And I want my family to be proud of the man that I am. And so what is your personal vision? And you have to have that vision and come up with it and take ownership of it, because if you don't have that, and it can't be, how do I say it? It can't, like, don't use my vision. Don't say, oh, well, Aaron said his is this, so this is what mine is. It can't be that. Yours has to be your vision, because if it's not your vision, chances are you're probably not going to buy into mine as hard as I buy into mine. You got to create what's going to work for you. And so, yeah, real good, guys. We want to take a quick moment to shout out today's premier sponsor, Vicky with Hubbard Flooring Studio. Leadership always starts with a strong foundation, and so does your home or office. Vicky and her team don't just cover floors, they help you step into excellence one plank, tile, or carpet at a time. And now, they are offering Hunter Douglas blinds, giving you the ability to set the tone, control the light, and create the perfect environment to lead from. Hubbard Flooring Studio, where strong foundations and bright visions begin.
Yeah, I would say even if it's not what you said and similar to your vision, most people, I would imagine, it's going to be something positive. Like you said, adding value, your family being proud of you, helping other people, growing. It's innately positive. But there is a lot of negativity out there that we've got to deal with on a daily basis. So we got to talk about that.
Absolutely. And so, hey, if one of those rules hit hard for you, I want you to drop it in the message. Tell us which one. That maybe it's you're the driver, fuel your vision with positive energy, or invite people who energize you, or identify who's been taking that wheel. And so let's go ahead and move on, Caitlin, into rules 4 through 6.
Yep. All right. So rules 4 through 6, they focus on negativity, energy vampires. We'll talk about what that is, and enthusiasm. So rule number 4 is don't fuel the negativity. Just don't even pay it any mind. Don't make it worse. Don't fuel the fire. Rule number 5 is reject energy vampires. it feels like a pretty self-explanatory term.
Yes, so everybody
I feel
go
like,
get wood stakes and silver bullets. Got it. The holy water. Then
but they suck your energy, especially your positive energy. So you've got to reject those energy vampires. And then rule number 6 is enthusiasm wins. So love those rules. Definitely important to talk about what to do when you're faced with negativity and you're trying to keep a good positive energy bus going.
And I'm going to say this too. It's very easy to fuel that negative energy. I mean, it sometimes feels like, hey, I'm being productive, I'm getting stuff done, and this whatever is not happening. But you have to make sure that you don't fuel that energy. It's so easy to get sucked into because being negative is a whole lot easier than being positive. Now, I would say this too. Just because you're positive, it doesn't mean that you're looking at everything with rose-colored glasses, that all is well. You see the real situation. You see what's going on, but you choose. There's that word again. Caitlin, you're talking about that earlier. You choose to look for what are the positives. And so as you're going through those tough times, or as you're going through that, you know, my friend Rustam talked about that in one of our previous episodes, that one thing that he does the second he wakes up, he'll sit up in bed, he presses snooze on his alarm clock for 10 minutes and starts listing out, I am grateful for. He starts his day, I am grateful for. And there are some days when you're like, I don't even think I'm grateful for anything. You can always find something and just start there. Hey, I sat up in my bed. Like, go listen to I love that Inky Johnson. I don't know if anybody in here listens to him, but he talks about that all the time, that he didn't ever sleep in his own bed until he went on a recruiting trip to the University of Tennessee. They put him up in a nice hotel and they're like, hey, do you want to go do all this other stuff? And he's like, can I just go back to my room? And they're like, we got all, and he was like, I've never had a bed to myself. I would like to.
Like, you don't understand.
You have a bed.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so let's talk about the energy vampires. So when you are trying to be grateful and positive and all of that, and you've got those energy vampires around you, those people who are trying to just suck all of your positive energy out from you, and usually they're not trying to use it for themselves. Usually they're just trying to pull you down because they're unhappy people, but they're very real. So how do we deal with them? Do you have an example of someone that you could share?
Man, it's real easy. You just fire them. I mean, you go
when they're on your team, I guess.
Get you some steaks, the sign of the cross, silver bullets. I mean, that's how you get rid of the vampires, right?
Yeah.
No, and it's not always that easy. It's not always that simple to just get rid of them. I mean, first, let me say this. The people, though, that are energy vampires around you, remember that they are trying to take you down because they see you trying to do something that they themselves cannot do. And it's not that they can't do it, they won't do it. So they see something in you that terrifies themselves, that because they don't want to do it themselves. So if you are a person who's trying, I'm trying to improve my life, I'm trying to make myself better, I'm trying to be a positive person, just know you are going to be fed faced with, you know, words come hard sometimes. You're going to be faced with troubled times, troubled people. And I go way more into depth on this. I do a live stream video on that don't stay step and really talk about that. So when you're there, just know that these people are not necessarily attacking you and being negative to you because they think that you can't do it. They don't want you to do it because it shows some sort of insecurity and some sort of inability to do it themselves. So when you're faced with that, they aren't attacking you. It's something they see in themselves that you're showing that they wish they could do. So keep it up. Know that you don't get better without facing opposition. If you don't have opposition, if you don't have haters, if you don't have all of that other stuff, are you really doing anything that makes an impact?
I don't think so.
No. And so what was your question again? Sorry, I just got off on a roll.
It's okay. Well, do you have an example of an energy vampire? Like, what does that look like?
I mean, they just come in and they're just straight up negative. It's, so, I mean, picking on your example, like, hey, thinking I was going to have to get rid of you. There was so much negativity in that building and in the organization as a whole that I was just completely overwhelmed and was met with the opposition because I was somebody that was coming in positive. I wanted to make a difference. And that's something that I knew going into it. It's one we've talked about, you know, how do you keep going and all that? Well, you got to be digging into stuff like this book that daily. It can't be, hey, I read the energy bus today and don't pick it up for another 4 weeks. You got to read good books like that. I mean, another one, shout out to my new friend Nina. This is the one I'm going through right now. This is not the end. Man. Or I didn't even put it back up on the shelf. That Developing Leader Within You 2.0 by John Maxwell. It's phenomenal. And there's all sorts of stuff in there that reach out to me. I'd love to help you in this journey. If you're trying to grow and become a better person, you need these things. I mean, obviously I'm a dork and have all sorts of resources up here. And as you start connecting with other people, it was one that me and my friend Christopher were talking about just today before we got on the show. Like, hey, what are you reading? What do I need to read? And I'm going to have to text him because I don't remember the book that he told me I needed to read. I just remember it was by Simon Sinek. But we went through several different books that we were talking about to go through. So so connect with other people. But then let's say you're in a situation where you can't avoid this energy vampire. Hey, if you've liked what you've seen so far, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. That way we can continue to bring you great guests and great content like you've seen so far. Now back to the episode.
Right, because sometimes you can't. Or maybe you don't want to have to avoid them. Like if it's, you know, someone that's a close friend and maybe they haven't always been that way. They're just going through a hard time. Or maybe it's a family member that, you know, you don't want to, or you're not ready to cut off. You know, how do you deal with those energy vampires in your close circle?
And so I know I joked about previously, you know, just get rid of them, cut them out. I know it's not that simple. It's a great concept. It's
not always.
It's a simple concept, but
yeah.
I mean, let's be real honest. Let's say it's your spouse.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
How do you deal with that? Now, I'm going to start with an easier one first, because thankfully I haven't had to deal with that. My spouse is awesome. She's the greatest. And yeah, don't try to tell me that she's not. I will catch you outside. How about that?
No, Don's the best.
But it could be somebody you work with. I don't know where you work, but most of the time we don't all get to choose who is in our work environment. And so I had one where when I was coaching, man, and it was new, and I wasn't really doing the whole personal development thing at this time, guys. So this was early in my coaching career, but I knew I didn't want to be around that coach. That just everything, this is trash, that's trash, this is bad. Hey, I just got $100, but you could have been, why didn't they give you $110? Or why? And it was always just like, ugh. So I avoided this coach at all cost. I legitimately only saw them on the football field or in a coach's meeting. Like, I went out of my way to avoid them because I knew I did not want to be that person. And like rule number 6 was enthusiasm wins. Eventually, I eventually had to talk to them and just like, hey, I know you don't see it like this and you're just trying to look out for me, but I can't be this negative. I can't be around this. So if we're going to work together, we gotta be positive. Like, I know we're in a bad situation. They don't bring in oftentimes new young coaches that to the varsity level on really good teams. It's usually on bad teams. So, that was how I dealt with that. Now, there were other coaching situations where being new, I just stopped. Again, if I could avoid them, I avoided them. I knew I had, because after that one incident, I started reading other books and knew I had to protect me. That because I was there for those young men and those young women. So I had to protect me from them, from the energy vampire.
Did you feel like you were able to protect yourself and your team from that energy, or did it actually start affecting you and, made you feel more negative?
It does affect. So when I was around them a lot, I was definitely more negative, but I was also more conscious at that time about it. So I was more positive during that time. I became more for the team. And ultimately, even though in this one situation, I wasn't the head coach. This person wasn't the head coach. They weren't even a coordinator. So the players started to gravitate because they eventually, and this is where, and you'll see the hate come in and they start attacking you. It's because people ultimately want to be around somebody who's positive. And if you're uplifting, they want to be around you. People want to be around, and people, and I'll say it like this. People don't, and this is probably going to run us right into the next section because I think that is rule 7. Yeah. People don't go to war because they hate people. They go to war for people they love. And so when you are positive and uplifting, they want to be around that because they don't get enough of that. There's not enough of that happening in our world. This is not just an American problem. This is a around the world problem. So I hope I answered that. I said a lot. I might not have said anything.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I was really curious if you felt like that coach that you worked with, especially early on in your coaching journey, if you did feel like his energy affected yours. Because I feel like it's kind of when you're around an energy vampire all the time, or you're around someone who's really negative all the time, you either start to absorb some of that energy and it makes you more negative. Or, if you are hopefully conscious of the fact that, hey, this person's really negative and I don't want to be like that. Even that, though, you have to put more effort into it, and it almost gets exhausting.
Not almost,
you
it
know, and
does.
it's like, no, it does. And it's like, I'm just trying to be positive. I'm just trying to be grateful. You know, it's like, you're not helping the situation. So yeah, it can, but that's really important what you said about, like, I had to talk to him, you know, and you gave him the benefit of the doubt. Like, I know that you're trying to help the team. I know that you're coming from a good place, but what's happening, and, like, you know, how us around you, how we feel is very negative energy, and it's not serving anybody. It's not serving you. It's not serving us. It's not serving me. Did he? I'm sorry. This will be my last question about that situation, because I'm really curious. Like, after you talked to him about it, did you feel like there was a difference?
There was, definitely a difference, and it went from, so prior he was negative, but it went to more of a, he just didn't say much after that, which was better. And then in both of those the two coaches that I did list, one of them, they ended up not being a part of the coaching staff next year. Actually, both of them ended up not being part of the coaching staff the next year. And it had nothing to do with me. It wasn't, because I had no say over who was on the coaching staff at all. But the coaches, the head coaches, were able to, like, all right, seriously, you can't be around us anymore.
Well, as the leader of the team, you have to make a decision. This is what always makes me think about our team at Delta. Like, you know, 5-6 years ago, like you said, it was a very just overall negative energy. And anyone who came in with positive energy would kind of be either brought down to that level, or they're not going to like being in that negative energy. So they're not going to be around for very long. Or you could have it be the opposite way, where it's a very positive energy and atmosphere. And if somehow you bring on someone who is more negative, they're either going to follow suit, or they're not going to want to be there, you know? And so you intentionally create and continue the energy that you want for your team.
Well, and one of the beautiful things about it too, and is that you'll start to see that if once you create that positive environment, the environment that you want as the leader, when your team attaches on, because they're going to typically do what you do, they will start to run off the bad players. They will be like, man, hey, Sally can't be a part of the team anymore. You got to make her go. And you'll know as the leader, you'll look at it and be like I'm the boss. You don't tell me what to do. And that's going to be your natural reaction. But that person's doing, since I said Sally, Sally's doing something that's got the team upset. And if you have a team that's been around long enough, you start to know, they know this isn't a culture fit. This person is not good for our culture. And who else knows that better than the people that are working with them? And here's a good one that y'all need to write this down. Write this down. Before you promote somebody in your organization, go interview the people around them. And I wish people would do this more often. Like, if you're hiring, even on the outside, like, hey, instead of like, what does your supervisor say about you? I wish they would interview, hey, what do the people under you say about you? Like, interview their peers. I don't remember who I heard say that, but I thought it was brilliant. Like, hey, before you promote somebody within your organization, either interview, if they are like a supervisor, interview the people that work for them. Or if they're not in a supervisor role yet and you're wanting to move them into a supervisor role, interview the people they work with. And let me tell you, as long as they don't know what you're doing, they're going to shoot you straight. And if you built that relationship with them, people shoot you straight. So, I mean, I could have walked into any room at any point at anywhere I was at and say, hey, tell me about this. Like, tell me what it's like. What is it like working with them? And I could tell right away if they were being real with me. If it was like, hey, tell me what it's like to work with Caitlin. And they, I mean, Caitlin, she's a great, okay. And I would know, all right, shoot me straight. How was it working with Caitlin? I would stop them. I wouldn't let them ramble on. But if I asked them that and they were serious, they'd be, oh man, it's been awesome. She comes in, she loves us, she cares for us. Wonderful, wonderful. And so I know we got to move on. So guys, focus this next 24 hours. How often do you complain, even if it's just in your head? Keep track of that because about 70% of our conversations happen between our ears. So keep track of that just for 24 hours. I bet you'll surprise yourself. All right, so the home stretch, Caitlin, get us home. If you're watching and not ready for full organizational training, but you want to grow personally, I'd like to invite you to join our Leadership Multiplier School community. It's a community of positive, growth-minded leaders who are serious about developing influence and helping others do the same. If leadership matters to you, you belong in that room. Let's get back to the show.
Home stretch, rules 7 through 10. So these focus on love, excellence, commitment, and celebration, my favorite. So rule number 7 is love people first. We kind of got started talking about that, how important love is. You know, that's what brings us to war. That's the foundation. Number 8 is go the extra mile. Number 9 is stay on the bus. And number 10 is celebrate every mile. So that's how we finish out our 10 rules.
Yes. And I want to, because I do think this is a huge one as a leader, Mm-hmm. I mean, I've always, I've never said, I've said that The Office is one of my favorite shows, and mostly because I just love how awful of a boss Michael Scott is. And I feel like, unfortunately, that's a lot of people's boss. Like, they just think they're the greatest. They think they're funny. They think they're whatever. And there really are, I would say there's too many horrible bosses. But one that he says that I absolutely love, and it's right at the beginning of the Office episodes. They ask, would you rather be feared or loved? And he's like, that's simple. It's both. I want people to fear how much they love me.
That's a great answer.
I want you to fear how much you love me. Because the greatest tool in our arsenal is love. And it's something that's not going around enough anymore. People don't just love people. And I want to clear this too. Just because you love somebody, it doesn't mean you agree with them. You can love somebody and not agree. I mean, the one that me and my best friend have an argument over all the time. Who's the best quarterback ever? That Peyton Manning or Tom Brady? I mean, we could go off on this forever, and that's not the point. And I'll take whichever side you don't take. So please don't get into this one with me. I'll argue the other side because they're both great quarterbacks. I even did one on, who's better, Belichick or Saban. And I can argue both sides on that one. But you can have different viewpoints and still love. And holding somebody accountable is one of the greatest forms of love that you can do. It has to be done with the right intention, but it's one of the greatest forms of love that you can do is to hold somebody accountable and say, here's the standard. I'm not going to allow you to not hit the standard. I care for you that much. Hit it.
Yep. All about leading with love. Love is a leadership strategy. And I think it plays a lot into communication as well. Being very intentional about communicating with your team, why things are the way that they are. Kind of goes back to the 5 levels of leadership. The leaders that just rest on level 1, you're going to do what I say because I'm the boss. I don't have to explain myself to you. No, you don't have to. But if you loved and respected the people that you work with and appreciated them and cared about how they feel or what they think, then you would give them the courtesy, of explaining yourself. You don't have to, but that's what takes you from level to level to level and makes you a better and better leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's we just took a class on learning how to invest in the stock market. And so I've tried to get people I know that invested in the stock market to explain it. Like, there's got to be a method behind the madness. And nobody was ever able to explain, hey, as you are looking at the trends, these are things that you were looking for. And they made it so simple. Now, don't ask me to explain yet because I don't understand it yet. But if somebody's not able to explain to you something, they don't know something. They don't understand it enough to explain it to you. Because after I saw it, I was like, this makes sense. I can do that. I absolutely can do that. I mean, a blind monkey could do this. It's not that hard. But, other things that, going the extra mile. Now, this is not saying, and this is one I do have a problem with, going the extra mile versus burnout. I learned it very young, like in college. Like, one of the few things that I learned in college is that you can stay up 72 hours straight and still function properly. I also learned during that time that I could go for 2 and 3 months at a time with only 2 to 4 hours of sleep a night. But the crash is hard, man. The crash is hard. And it's one that I'm trying to bring into my life right now, is to make sure that, yes, I'm going to go the extra mile for people. But not burning myself, knowing your limits, knowing, hey, I will go the extra mile, but not the extra 47 miles.
Well, you can't pour from an empty cup.
No, you can't. You can't. And then, I want to talk, because you probably do a better job at this than I do. That is, celebrating, why celebration sustains momentum.
Yeah. So, and you got to really pay attention to your team to know when to celebrate, when to buckle down, when to be serious, when to have a little fun. But my team specifically right now, we're going through a lot of changes in the company, and you gotta celebrate, or at least just give them something to look forward to. And so what I did a couple of weeks ago was my team, they like to ask me for things, and a lot of times the answer is no.
Or every team.
Yeah, but I love that they feel comfortable to ask me, and they know that a lot of times the answer is going to be no, and that's okay. But sometimes, yeah, sure, why not? And so what I did a couple of weeks ago was, the team was asking me, hey, on Friday, can we dress up for Valentine's or Mardi Gras? Or can we leave at like 3:00? Or can we get lunch delivered? Stuff like that. They're asking me for all these things. And I'm like, okay, we're not doing all of those things. Like, we gotta be responsible. But I brought in one of my team members, and I told her, I do want to reward you and celebrate the team. And the reason why I chose her was because she had a 91% show rate for the appointments that she had set over the last 2 weeks. And so I was like, honey, that is awesome. Like, 21 out of 23 of the appointments that you set showed up. Like, you're you're doing a great job. I want to reward you for that. So I let her choose, which of those kind of rewards that she wanted. She chose the dress day. So everybody got to, wear their dress for Valentine's or Mardi Gras or whatever they chose. But again, I specifically communicated to the team, hey, Taylor wants to dress up. We're going to dress up tomorrow. And she got to choose because she got a 91% show rate. Like, she's doing awesome. She's killing it. But you know what? I went around to all of the other team members. Don't tell them. Don't tell them I said this.
Your secret's safe with me and the rest of the internet.
Okay. Exactly. But I went around to each one of my other team members and told them, hey, Erin, you're going to be the one choosing next time, right? So just reiterating to the rest of the team as well, I have faith in you. You can do just as well, if not better, than everybody else. And I want to see you succeed as well. I want to celebrate you too. So yeah, just taking time and making an effort to celebrate your team as a whole, but also your team members individually.
Yeah. So as we're starting to wrap up, so what would you say if people could only remember one rule? What should it be?
That would be mine, honestly, to celebrate every mile. You don't want to do it too prematurely and get ahead of yourself. But I think that celebration and that positive energy is what's going to keep pushing you forward. You got to find the positive. You got to find something to celebrate in every day. Or, it's just not worth it. It's not fun at the end of the day. It's not worth it. So that would be mine. What about you? If someone were to only remember one rule, what do you think it should be? Yeah, I know it's hard.
So mine is rule number 1. And you're the driver. You've got to take control of you. It's that simple. And don't blame anybody else for you.
Yep.
And so what's one rule that you struggle with personally?
That I struggle with? Okay. Okay, I would have to say rule number 9, which is to stay on the bus. I think I'm doing a better job of that in the last few years, but I think a lot of people could also relate to feeling like you've had a failure of an experience, especially going into leadership. A lot of people aren't taught how to be strong leaders and good leaders. So it's tempting sometimes to want to just give up. And that's not going to help you move further. You're just going to stop right where you are, but if you stay on the bus, keep going, keep learning, keep messing up, just stay on the bus and you'll get better.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What about you? What do you struggle with?
I don't struggle with anything.
Okay.
And if you believe that, guys, I've got some oceanfront property in Missouri that I want to sell you. Call me. Great deal today only. But for my listeners, I'm going to sweet deal. It's a sweet deal. Call me about it. Mine is celebrating every mile. I struggle. I don't often need to be told I'm doing a good job. I love the mediocre people that don't like high achievers and vice versa. High achievers don't like mediocre people. So it's one that I've always struggled with. If I just do my job, congratulations, you did the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But
don't need a pat on the back for that.
No, but even with something like, what we had to do. All right, for instance, so for the class that we just took. It's a 3-day class. So me, Dawn, and Levi took the class. Levi was the one that wanted to do it. He wants to get into day trading. I know nothing about it. So I said, cool, I'll pay for the class. You got to show up every single day. You show up all 3 days. And on the last day, because it was downtown at the Hilton, that we were in walking, I could literally from the room throw a ball and hit Schlitz and giggles. We love pizza. So I said, our meals were like sandwiches. Like I said, all right, but on Sunday, you show up to everything and you finish, we'll go to Schlitz and giggles. So, I mean, even if it's something that simple, guys, that's hard. It's a hard thing to sit there for. I mean, these were 3 9-hour classes. So we got 27 hours in 3 days. But that's one I'm even is even being okay with people celebrating you. Because for me, one of my big things is it's a birthday. But we could go on and on that. Like, I don't like surprises. I'm still mad at Caitlin for putting balloons and whatnot in my office and decorating it without my knowledge. We'll do another one on that. We might do a short.
You are not
short on that one, but
I think that it's more important that the normalcies are celebrated maybe when they don't necessarily need to be, but then when you need that celebration and that validation, then you have it, versus if it's like, nobody celebrate me, nobody say anything about my birthday, I don't need a pat on the back, but one of these days you're gonna need a pat on the back. You know what I mean? And you don't want people to forget that, hey, sometimes Aaron does need that pat on the back. So, yeah, everybody does. Everybody does at some point.
And it does, because it makes sense. Would always, when I was coaching, would make a big deal out of certain things. Hey, you did this right. Make a huge deal out of it. Especially if it was something I knew you'd been struggling with. Hey, you did this right, and made sure to make a big deal out of it. But it makes even more sense now with that. And guys, and I do want to say this too with everything, because there's so much that we could go into. It's very important that you do not try to fix all 10 of these rules today or even this week. Pick one, live it out for the next 7 days. And if you're doing none of them, start with rule number 1. You're the driver. Start with just you. And then go from there.
If this episode added value to you, here are your next steps. If you lead an organization and want to develop strong leaders, connect with us at Coach Clark Leadership and Development. We have a free 30-minute connection discovery call. If you're a growth-minded leader looking for community and accountability, join Leadership Multipliers. Either way, don't just consume leadership, commit to it.
If there's one thing this book makes clear, it's this. Energy is a choice, and that choice shows up in your leadership every single day.
Absolutely. And you can't control every circumstance, but you can control your mindset, your attitude, and who you allow on your bus.
And the people around you are feeling whatever energy you bring.
So here's the challenge. Audit your energy this week. Pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to your reactions. Pay attention to who you're inviting in your circle. And if you're serious about building strong leaders and a strong culture inside your organization, that's exactly what we focus on at Coach Clark Leadership and Development. We work directly with teams and organizations to help them lead with clarity, accountability, and purpose.
Leadership always starts internally. If this episode hit home for you, I highly recommend reading The Energy Bus by John Gordon. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss what's coming up next. Give us a like and share this episode with a friend.
Yeah. And remember, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep learning, keep leading, and
keep connecting.
And I'll see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection Podcast.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast. If today's episode added value to you, do me a favor, follow the show and share it with someone who needs it. You can connect with me at my website, coachaclark.com, or on social media at Coach A. Clark. All the links are in the description. Until next time, keep leading, keep growing, and keep connecting.